Coming up on today's episode.
They didn't realise that you didn't need a 20% deposit to actually get into the property market because guess what, Mum and Dad and the grandparents had said, back in our day, you needed a 20% deposit. And I said, mate, that's just cost you a whole heap of money because let's go into the first home guarantee scheme that is done by Housing Australia. That'll waive your lender mortgage insurance so long as you can get into the property market with your borrowing capacity. Purchased 650, they had a deposit of 52 grand and they're like, what? I don't need the 20% plus the costs. And I said, mate, no, you can get into the property market a whole lot faster because this scheme also waives lender mortgage insurance. 5% plus your costs on the table, you're good to go.
Dodgy advice and bad decisions can cost you big in real estate. We're here to make sure that doesn't happen. Welcome to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jo Agresta, and it's time to take control of your property journey together. Welcome back, everyone, to the No BS Real Estate Podcast, your listening how-to guide to the Australian finance and property market. I'm your host, Jo Agresta, and today's episode is for all the first home buyers, upsizers, single parents, and anyone who's ever felt like finance just isn't made for them. We're digging into what it actually takes to get a loan when life hasn't gone to plan. Bad credit, divorce, inconsistent incomes, all of the ugly stuff, because someone out there is willing to listen, understand, and fight for your success. And that someone is today's guest, Laura Moya, a mortgage broker with more than 20 years of experience, a fierce advocate for financial education, and a woman who left behind the franchise system to start fresh and serve her clients her way, which absolutely love. So whether you're a first-time buyer, a solo parent, or someone just trying to clean up all the financial past, Laura's got the stories and the insight to help you go from not ready to approved. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited.
Yes.
When we had our pre-podcast interview, I just resonated. I think we were on the phone for nearly 2 hours. It's like
Karina's sitting there going, oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's like trying to fade into the background. And I'm like, no, let's keep talking. So here's what we're going to do. I just really loved it because your passion really came out, especially for like that first home buyer, single parent kind of space or, women empowerment.
Yes.
And I think that's awesome.
Yes.
So needed in this economy.
There's a lot of people in finance. Obviously, I'm not the only mortgage broker in the space, but I do get a lot of feedback that potentially they may have gone in somewhere, they didn't quite get the answers that they were trying to get. And I always say, even if it's for myself, look, if you feel that you haven't got the level of service or you haven't quite right what you were after, get a second opinion, right? Because not all mortgage brokers are the same. Not all banks are going to treat you exactly the same. Reach out and get second opinions if you feel that the first, second or third or whatever it is was not the fit for you.
I love that. And so it's so on point, right? Because I've interviewed other mortgage brokers on the show, but I don't like to ask the same questions because everyone's got a unique story and a unique reason why they do what they do.
Yes.
And that's what I love to, bring to our listeners is, okay, here's a different person, here's another opinion, here's another view of the world that you probably didn't realise and they're going to really resonate. I think a lot of
100%.
The women on this podcast are definitely going to love this episode.
Yes. So, ladies doing it for themselves, I say. Let's go.
Sisters. That's us right now.
Yes, that's it.
So I guess the best place to always start is your story. Like, take us back. How did your journey into finance begin back in 2002? And was mortgage broking always the goal?
No. So complete left of field. I finished year 12 in 2000, so I'm pretty old. And I went back overseas. I'm from Venezuela, so I took 12 months off. No, 18 months off. So it was a gap year. I went back and visited all my family, which was great. I came back to Australia and then I thought, oh my God, I have to do something. Did an apprenticeship in a legal firm that was for mortgages. And that's how I sort of came into that whole sector.
Oh my God.
And I was the runaround person. So it was, Laura, go and pick up the loan checks, go and get the signings, go get all of that sort of stuff done. In that time frame, I also did a TAFE course. So, like having a look at what's going on in the background. And then I suppose worked my way around into conveyancing, worked my way around into private funding for property developers. And that's always been in the mortgage sector. Became a mum, got married, and those roles, the last one was in the private lending space. And I guess with the kids, they needed to come first. And I thought, well, how can I juggle mum, kids, pick up from kinder, school drop-offs, and I guess with a full-time job that just did not suit.
Yeah, of course.
Aussie Home Loans was recruiting at the time, and I actually went in to get a home loan from Aussie.
I love that.
And the broker, he was like, look, Aussie Home Loans is recruiting. I think you would be a suitable fit.
Wow.
Because I was explaining to him, like, I need to figure out what I'm going to do. And he got me my loan.
And then he got a job.
And then I got a role at Aussie Home Loans. So
that's awesome.
that was, yeah. He said, look, you've got all of the background. You just need to learn the lender policies.
Yeah.
And fit where, what, and how. I pricked it up pretty quickly because it's just all the terminology, all of that sort of stuff. But it was just figuring out where to place the deals.
Yeah.
How stuff worked, because with the private sector, it was more commercial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't your mum and dad. It was the builders trying to come through that didn't quite fit into the banks, whatever. And the rest is history, right? So then fast forward up until 2025, where we're now.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I love it. It's so cool when you hear like those stories, like, you took the gap year, you went back, you did some travel, did your time, and then when you came back into it, you've started at such a cool age to do it, right? Because you're learning the fundamentals, and now you've been in the industry long enough to see all the changes that have come through.
Global financial crisis, we went through all of that.
Yep.
COVID.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I can't even. I've still got a hangover from that.
No, yes. Let's not talk about that. But it was seeing all those different things. And along the career, I did see mortgagee sales where people, unfortunately, were faced into financial hardship. It was your property developers, potentially, that may have overextended.
Yeah.
And because I've seen that now for when I do broking, I always tell people, make sure that you do your household budgets, don't overcommit, put your proper actual budgets, don't pull your, bullshit yourself, because at the end of the day, you're going to be overextending, and it's a 30-year loan potentially. Yeah. Some loans are actually going for 40-year terms.
Yeah, that's huge.
But if you do not do your budget properly, hey, guess what? You can end up in quite a big financial mess, and that's not a nice place to be.
Oh, and this is why it's so important to have these discussions early, right? Today we're talking a lot about the loan side, like applications, but also like that debt side and how to get your finances on track. So budgeting is definitely going to come up in today's episode, and I'm keen to get into that because God, Lord knows I need financial discipline.
That's all right. That's all right. Zero judgments, right? But it's just you're aware that you need to do your budget.
That's right. And I think that's always knowing, at least. You're not ignorant to it.
Yes.
Maybe that's the first step.
Don't put your hand in the sand, sorry.
Yeah, it's like ignore it. It's not happening.
Don't do it.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Tackle it head on.
And, you've worked, and not only have you worked in the loan settlement side, but you've also done some conveyancing. You've touched on private lending.
Yes.
And how do you think those earlier roles shape how you work as a broker today?
It's understanding the ins and outs and why those simple steps that sometimes you're like, oh, this is really annoying. Why is she asking for all of this stuff?
Yeah.
I think once you combine it all together, you're like, I promise you will make sense. And yes, you might want the higher lending limit, but hey, do your calculations. Have you adjusted for council rates? People look at me first home buyers, they're like, what the hell's that? Have you done your body corporate fees?
Yeah.
Blank face. Do you understand that once you move out, mum and dad used to pay for the water bill? That's a bill that's coming your way.
Yeah.
Electricity, gas, all of those things that when you live at home, you don't pay.
It's a luxury.
But once you move out, you got all of this stuff and it adds up quite quickly, right?
Yeah, it does.
It's a big life change event, and it's do your household budget to make sure that you don't overcommit. Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that's probably often overlooked, right? Until you have the right broker, someone like yourself, who brings these points up. Because it's not just about getting the loan. It's not just about the deal. It's about, you're going to do the deal, but then how's it going to leave you at the end of everything once you get the actual property. And I think a lot of people get bill shock.
Yes.
That's what happens.
Yes.
They go into like a panic of like, oh, shit.
Yes. I'm actually part of a group where on Facebook, a lot of home loan hacks.
Oh, okay.
And I go in there just to sort of keep tabs of what people are asking, what gaps, I suppose, are in the market. And a lot of it is, yes, I've got my home loan facility, but what do I do now?
Yeah.
There was somebody who raised the question, I've got myself into a financial hardship, I've lost my job, I don't have a will, like, how do I get myself into a situation, can I claim my super? And I thought, Jesus, like those are things as part of my process.
Yeah.
That you're like, well, have you got income protection? Have you got your wills? Have you got, power of attorneys, financial, medical, stuff happens? Have you spoken with a financial planner? Have you got, what is your backup plan? Because it's not, 10, 20 bucks. It's a massive debt.
Yeah.
And how are you going to plan for backup plan? What precautions have you put into place? Yeah. So it's, yes, you've got your loan, but what's the aftermaths for after?
And I think this is exactly why this topic is so important because we often, like I said earlier, we talk about how to get it and then we don't talk about how to manage it.
Yes.
And then that is where everyone starts having their problems.
Yes.
Where big debts happen or like you said, like not foreclosures, but like,
mortgagee sales where the banks come in and they're like, hey, here's your default notice, you've missed a payment, there's only so much financial hardship that they can store before they go, look, either you sell, clear your debt, or we're going to sell you up.
Yeah, which is awful.
It's not nice. It's not nice at all.
And that's how we want to end up this episode is like anyone who's like unsure or needs to speak to Laura, like this is the episode for it, right?
That's it.
So, one of the things that happened, like your time at Aussie, right? Like it's so different because now you're out on your own and you get to make the, the structure and the rules of how you approach things. What pushed you to kind of leave and start your own business? Where did that come from?
So I was at Aussie for 7 years. Wow. So a long time. Learning there, the learning curve was huge and I'm forever grateful that I was actually there. Got me lots of exposures, different type of clients that starting on your own, probably I would have never had the chance to do that. Self-employed, bad credit, first home buyers, refinancing, property investors, all of those different structures I got exposed to over that time frame. Relationship with the customers, some of them I've walked away with really great friends, which is lovely.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that is the approach that I try and bring to the table. Hey, if somebody reaches out to you, money is such a taboo.
Yeah.
And it's not something that is openly spoken about. And so people are like, oh my God, it's so private and confidential. And 9 out of 10 times when you come through for a couple, somebody might have a sneaky account on the side or a credit card or a personal loan. And then they'll call you up and they say, look, such and such doesn't know. And I go, if it's under your account for privacy reasons, obviously I can't discuss it with the other person because that's not what you came to me for separation, mate. That's not what we came for. Yeah. But it's when it's that sort of situation, I say, look, if you're going to be joining your finances, if you're going to be purchasing a house, you can't be having stuff onto the side.
It's like a side.
Because that is not, join forces, right? So
yeah, you're doing it together.
Yeah, but sometimes if you go, look, it's brother or sister or whatever, go, that's a bit different. I don't really, whatever. But if it's a couple, I go, mate, have a central account where all your stuff comes in, comes out. 50-50s, that sort of stuff. I go, well, you do you. Yeah. But just make sure that everything at the end of the day, you know what's going on both the sides, unless you're buying a finance ring or something like that, then I just, I don't mind that.
I did that. I didn't do it through my finance because my partner's the one that's financial hat, right? Yeah. And I'm not. I do that for the business, that stuff. Yeah. And I remember when I was buying her engagement ring, I called my stepdad and I said, so listen, I need to get some money.
Yes.
It's going to be a loan.
Yes.
But I'm going to buy it and I'm going to give it to you as soon as I'm allowed to, after I've done the proposal and then I'll take it out.
Yes.
So annoying.
Oh.
I had to do it. All our finances are joined, like my pay's going in there, her pay's going in. Yeah, this is a bit complicated.
Yes. Oh, well. There's an excuse for that, and it was otherwise it would have wrecked the surprise, right? So.
Oh, yeah, she would have picked up. She'd be like, what the hell did you buy?
Yeah. That's it.
Like,
that's it.
You
I love it.
to.
It's to me.
Yeah, that's right. And I want to talk about a moment here, because you told me this story in the pre-interview, and I thought, I really want to discuss that because I thought it was so nice. You had a client who called 8 to 9 years after you helped them.
I know, right?
And you answered the call while you're in hospital. Like, what does loyalty mean to you? Which I think that's going to tell me everything there.
So my star sign is Virgo. So anyone who is a Virgo knows that, loyalty is first and foremost. You cut that off and that's it. You're dead to us and that's it. Like, you close that chapter and you move on, right? And I guess that from a personal level, I've kept in contact with people who I've gone to high school with, people who I've been neighbours since I was little in my childhood from overseas, obviously Facebook. So that to me on a personal level is quite important. And I think I try and bring that over to my customers as well, where you treat them properly with respect, regardless of what walks of life they are.
Yeah.
You give them, if they say, I want to know my borrowing capacity. Hey, it might not be where you want it to be, but it's the knowledge that you've got your borrowing capacity. Yeah. What can you do with it? Can you go actually, pull the trigger and let's go now? Or do you need to save? Do you need to use another scheme? Yeah. Lots of your options, and you walk away with that, I suppose, right? So with these customers, they called me up. My son's now, he'll be 9 in December. So, I was pregnant going to the hospital, and they're like, oh, my God, we need a home loan. I can't do your home loan. I'll refer you to another broker. The other broker did the loan facility for them.
Yeah.
And they gave me a call a few weeks ago and said, oh, Laura, we need a home loan facility, which I thought, mate, why wouldn't you go back to the old broker? Yeah. Because they've done the deal for you. But I suppose that they've followed my journey along the start, and they can see I'm no longer at Aussie. They've started to go into my own. Yeah, so that was really, I was taken back because I'm thinking, who the hell keeps a phone number for 8 or 9 years later down the track? But they did, which is great.
And like that speaks volumes. Like that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I thought, wow, you answered a call while you're going through it, and you didn't absolutely need to answer, but you did. And obviously, to these clients, they remembered it. And that meant more than the deal. Just the fact you picked up.
I was like, I'm sorry, I can't talk really right now. I can refer you to somebody else, but hey, we'll point you in the right direction. So,
all right. I love that.
That's commitment, right?
Oh, it's massive commitment and loyalty. Like, I don't know, that's just the definition.
Yes, 100%.
And I want to switch gears a little bit, like, talking about your mission, right? So making finance accessible. Because I think this is something that's a hot topic at the moment.
Yes.
Your philosophy is that finance should be for every Tom, Dick and Harry.
Yes.
What does that look like in practice?
So for me, I do not charge a fee for residential loan applications where it's a pay-as-you-go, mum and dad, straightforward, self-employed.
Yeah.
I will not charge a fee for the service. I think that information on Google, you can only get so much, but as far as tailoring it specifically for you, it's completely different, right? So sometimes people say, I've read on Google and I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. Oh, actually, have you considered, all of these other things? And you don't know what you don't know, right? Yeah. So I always tell people there's only so much you can get out of Google. Speak to somebody, as daunting as that can be, because you're like, oh my God, finance is so taboo, how private.
Yeah.
But telling somebody that has actually done this day in, day out will enlighten your day, give you a little bit of a guidance of where you need to go, and hopefully you walk out with more knowledge at the end of the day, right?
I think you'd have to. I think that sometimes we are hesitant by nature to talk about finance, and that's just a culture of being told that you don't need to do your personal money, right? And then when you do, it's like a catharsis of like, oh, someone knows about all the, crap things I've done and how I want to get to the next good point in my life. Yes. But in order to do that, you've got to take the first step of opening up.
And I think I try and walk in quite open-minded, right? So when I was at Aussie, let's go back to that. You are seeing nationwide transactions, right? Yeah. So if you got your fly-in, fly-out tradies, 6 months worth of statements is going to be interesting, right? to put it lightly. if you're going to go and see that, to me, I've seen it all and I really don't care what people spend their money on.
Yeah.
So long as it's legit and legal, right?
Yeah.
So long as you haven't got stuff in there, you're like, oh my God, drug money and whatever. I go, hey, make that drop off. Don't put that on my server. I don't want it, right?
Yeah.
I've seen a whole heap of stuff, been through walks of life. Obviously, I'm not in my 20s. I'm into the 40s, right? And then you go, well, you've seen a whole heap of stuff, judgments, whatever. What do you need to do to get from point A to B? Yeah. It's that educational piece. From time to time, the one things that I do tell customers is if you've got excessive gambling, until that drops off, because that tends to flag your loan application, right? If you've overdrawn your account, hey, what's the story behind this? What's the conduct issue? Pull your head in, right? Manage your finances. If you can't manage a $6,000 credit card, for argument's sake, because you've gone over it, how am I going to load you up with another $500,000, right? It's not a great look. But if you don't know what you don't know, how are you going to tidy those things up so then you can actually go forward on a formal basis? Yeah, and this is where what you do and how you approach it is so crucial. And it's like you're only going to get there if you're honest about what's going on. Yeah. Otherwise, you can't get help. And I cannot give you advice unless you give me all of your paperwork, all of your bank statements. People go, oh, I don't really use that bank statement. I say, I don't care. I want to see it. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Is enough to pay a debt. Yeah. Yes, it is, love. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I've got a credit card, but I don't use it and I pay it out every single month. That is still a debt, regardless, right? Yeah. So the more you tell me, the better, because at the end of the day, I can give you more and more accurate advice. At the end of the day, you don't want to be putting a loan application into a bank on a formal basis. Yeah. And then they go, actually, we've seen your credit report and you've missed, 2 or 3 credit cards or a personal loan or whatever is going on there. They don't like that. Credit assessors can be your best friend, but they're the ones that's sitting in front of that approved button. Yeah, ready to do that. And we don't want to annoy them, right? We don't want to piss them off. We want them to be on your side. And if you present the deal where it's clean and it's ticking boxes and you've done your due diligence up front, it goes through a lot quicker. Yeah, of course. And I just love this because, then we're kind of getting into that bad credit area, right? Yes. So how do you approach clients with complicated situations? So bad credit being one, single income, or even the self-employed kind of route. So with your bad credit, let's attack that, right? So it depends on the situation of your bad credit. So I had a customer who the ex was just being not great and on purpose missing the loan repayments. So then it hit their credit file and it just, went into defaults. With the customers, they were trying to actually make the loan repayments and they had the evidence to say, I have been trying from my part. However, the ex is dragging it down, right? So they thought, oh my God, there is no way in hell I'm going to get this deal over the line. Yeah. And we managed to get them a pre-approval because they had given me the support documentation for a domestic violence issues. They had the AVOs. Wasn't a great story, but hey, we got her deal done through Westpac. Oh, and Westpac actually came to the party. I was quite shocked. Yeah, I was like, I'm shocked. With the business development manager, they said, look, for customers who we can see that they're vulnerable and they've gone through a situation where they're trying to have a fresh start. They had a really good deposit, but it's just a story and it was a situation in their life that was not great. Let's give them a fresh start, right? So it depends what your story is. However, had this customer gone, well, I'm going to Tahiti and I'm not paying my home loan, well, Westpac, they would have been, that's nice, thanks, but no thanks. You can go somewhere else, right? There is credit reporting agencies as well. Yep. That can help you try and sort out your credit file. Obviously, I've got people that I refer to and they do charge a fee, but it just depends on what's your circumstances, onto what got you into that default in the first place, right? Yeah. So it's like that behaviour leading up. Correct. Yeah. Correct. So it's not a flat out no. It's just you tell me your story. I'll try and present it as best as I can to those lenders because obviously work around policies and things like that. Yeah. Who's got the lending appetite at that particular time? I've got various different lenders available and that's the beauty of brokers. Had you gone into a branch or something like that and they go, hey, thanks, but no thanks. Sometimes people go, oh, I'm done with my journey because I don't want to go through this too embarrassing, too hard, put your hand in the sand, and then trying to build that courage to come back up again. You may have priced yourself out from the market or whatever the case might have been, right? So,
and it's always a challenge because it's like, then you do price yourself out of the market. It's like, well, you needed to basically buy for your potential budget now. If you sit on it too long or there's too many complications, you end up outpriced and then you buy somewhere else.
100%. So do pick a broker and work with them. Put your big girl pants on because mostly if your clients are on here, ladies, or guys as well, just, pull the Band-Aid off and just go. Yeah. You might get pleasantly surprised like this particular customer, right?
100%. Like, the whole purpose of talking to someone, like yourself is that you've got a buffer between you and the lender, right? So you understand what story needs to happen, which lenders are going to
You need to present it on a silver platter.
Yeah, it's like, don't worry about what happened 3 months prior to these 3 months.
Yes.
We fixed it.
Yes.
And here's the new story.
Correct.
And I guess, what's your take on how, brokers or banks judge clients before understanding their full story?
So for me, as we've said, I am very much, you give me all your paperwork up front, I will have a look at it and try and treat it as if we're at the bank on a credit assessor point of view, right? Because as horrible as it sounds, because I don't charge a fee for my customers, I need a yes to get paid, right? So if I see that there's going to be a deal, I'm like, all right, we're on. If I tell you that I'm sorry, I can't help you, it's either go get a second opinion or figure out, well, how do we tweak your scenario to get across the line? Do you need to adjust your purchase price? Do we need to use a first home guarantee scheme? Do you need to save a little bit extra, call mum and dad bank? Whatever the case might be, but you will walk away with what other options do you have to get from A to B, right?
100%. I think that's super important, especially, I think this leads really nicely into that education side, right? Because it's like, you might get a no, and then the customer might be going, oh, what do I do now? It's not like you stop. And okay, well, I don't know.
See ya, next, bye. No.
It's like, how do you, educate clients throughout the process, and what are some of the key things they don't know but they should?
Always call and speak to somebody, right? My pet peeve is where people call, like, send me a text message and say, hey, do you have information about the first home guarantee schemes? Yes, we do. Let's have a chat. Let's put a booking in, because it's a massive topic. It's not, hey, I can send you stuff back on here backwards and forwards. Let's have a chat, right? And then they ghost you. And then I'm like, okay, all right. That's a bit random. Yeah. So for these sort of topics, it is better to have a chat, right? Yeah. So then you can go backwards and forwards. Hey, what's your income? What's your assets? What's your liabilities? What's a whole heap of stuff? I need to know that, right? Yeah. So then I can go, well, are you in a deal or are we not? What do you need to do? I had a person, I think it was a few weeks ago, and this was done in the Yes, right?
I know exactly. I wanted to cover this.
This poor person, we won't put names out there, right? It was a single mum, and she'd been sitting on, I think it was about $200,000 or $250,000 for 4 years. And she'd gone to see somebody, and that person just shut her down, and she was like, holy shit, what do I do now? I've got to go and rent. What? And I thought, okay, well, it goes back to the whole, oh my God, somebody has said no, but they did not know that, hey, go and shop brokers. That is okay. You can do that, right? If you don't like the first answer, go and get a second opinion. But then she didn't know that there was a scheme available for first. It doesn't even matter if you're first home buyer or not. It was, you're trying to get into the property market. Her borrowing capacity wasn't quite where it needed to be. It was close. But she used a scheme which is run through State Revenues Victoria, where basically the government will go 25% ownership, and then you as the buyer then go for 75% ownership. Not everyone likes it, but she just decided, look, I'm going to be priced out of the market. I'm sitting on so much funds. I didn't even know that this was a thing. And I said, mate, this has been around for about 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And she goes, well, I didn't know. And I said, well, I'm telling you, go and speak to those particular lenders. Brokers cannot help you because we have been locked out. There's only about 5,000 of those spots per year. Yeah.
So you can't assist in that side?
No, not with that scheme because there's 5,000 spots. We'll blow them up, right? So it's just brokers in Australia that be like, oh, my God, quick, get everyone in.
Yeah.
For capacity purposes, they can't cope, right? Yeah. So I just say, look, although I didn't help you do the loan, you got directions of where to look. She called me up a week after and she's like, oh, my God, thank you, Laura. I've got now a pre-approval and I'm going shopping. I can get into the property market. She goes, had I been told this, all of that time back, I would have probably saved so much money, purchased a property, that actually suited at a much less price point because the property prices have gone up. And I said, hindsight's great. It's 2020 vision. It's fabulous. But here you are today. You know what you know.
Yeah.
But imagine, far out.
It's devastating. Like, I think this just... like everyone tuning in, like all of these home buyers or thinking about home buying, get those second opinions. Like it doesn't hurt to have a chat. You're not cheating, and you got to look after yourself at the end of the day. But this is exactly why I wanted you here, because you, Laura, like you just have a really good approach. And I think first home buyers in particular, they
tend to be quite shy.
Yeah, because they don't know what they don't know, but they think that they should know everything. Yes. And here's the thing, newsflash, especially if you grew up in a European household, you're not expected to know everything, even though that's what probably our parents and grandparents have brainwashed into us. You're not expected to know anything, okay? So it's not a bad thing to reach out to the professionals and say, hey, I'm feeling a bit embarrassed because, like, Laura, you're not going to go, like you said at the start, you're not there to judge. It's like, I've seen it all. Yeah. Lay it on me. It's not
that's
gonna,
it. That's it.
It's not going to hurt. I'm not going to sit there and go, really? That's what you do on the weekends.
Yeah, well, I had somebody and they reached out and then we were going through their bank statements and they had ATM outings. And I said, oh, what's this? And you can just see red face. Yeah. Obviously, you can read them because I said, is it recreation? And they're like, yeah, next. That's it. That's as simple as it gets, right? So if you're doing a face-to-face appointment, obviously I can read your body language. And if you're sitting there going, oh, shit, hang on, it's about to get real here. Yeah. I go, okay, well.
Move on quickly.
Move on to the next one. Let's get past that.
Yeah.
Hiccup. You go, I put, is it for recreation? Yes. Great. Tick.
Well, and like perfect segue into the next segment because I want to talk red flags, cleanups and credit recovery, okay? So what are the real like red flags that lenders worry about and what's the line for you? Like what's a deal breaker, I guess, for a lender and yourself that it's like not recoverable?
So if you are lying on a loan application or to me, I go, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't, right? Because at the end of the day, that is my broker license on the line. I've got kids to feed. I've got bills to pay.
Yeah.
And that is my livelihood. So if you are not honest and upfront with me, then I go, look, I don't think I'm the broker for you because it's a two-way street. I've got to trust you and you've got to trust me. I'm representing what you're telling me on face value.
Yeah.
Hey, put it all on the table and then I'm pretty open. Zero judgments. I just go, I'd rather know rather than putting it into the lender. And then that goes, hey, I've flagged something here. Had I known then what I know now, I'd just go, hey, credit assessors are pretty ruthless. And they do say, well, we think that you've done fraud. And I had one for last week where a customer, they've given me the information. We're trying to go backwards and forwards.
Yep.
And I've known these customers for a very long time and I will back them because I said that is not what we were intending. The notice of assessments, income statements, everything was all ticking boxes. But the bank had asked me for a letter to confirm bonus payments. And then the bonus payments, for whatever reason, the HR person put in a typo and then the bank's like, well, why is there a difference between the two documents? And I said, well, I've given you the notice of assessments that was from the ADO portal. I've given you the income statements from the ATO portal. Here's all the paperwork that was not scanned. It's come through to my system. It was a human error. I will go blue in the face for somebody where I say, hey, this is not what you're insinuating. Mm-hmm. That is not what it is, right?
Yeah.
When I first started my career, I had some person give me some funky documentation and I just thought, oh, this is not quite right. They said, oh, can you please come to my place, which is quite stock standard. I'm a mobile mortgage broker. So I said, okay, but red flags started going off when they're like, hang on a minute, you can't come into my house. We need to go to another office, come into my car. Like, hell no. personal safety here.
Yeah.
And lucky on that particular appointment, I had my team leader
thank God.
with me. And I said, mate, like, we'll follow. I'm quite happy to follow, but there's no way I'm getting into a car with some random bloke that I've never met before. No, thanks.
No. I'm glad you hightailed it out of there.
Yeah. So then we followed them to a real estate agency and basically they're like, oh, you know, we want to do this and we got heaps of loans. And they gave me the paperwork and I said, 1 + 1, this just does not add up, right? So I said, look, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to do some extra digging. I called up the accountancy firm because obviously on the documentation it says this is the accountant who's prepared this. Yeah. And then the accountant's like, no, that's not me. So I called up the customer and I said, look, I'm really sorry. I'm not the broker for you. You need to go find somebody else. No thanks, right? So it's stuff like that. You pick it up. So we do checks. I'm not the only one that does the checks, but the banks also do it as well.
Yeah.
Right? So red flags, I said, they check your paperwork, right?
Yeah. It's like you can't lie and you can't hide.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, not everything's going to go and get stopped. Some stuff does go through, but I go, hey, that's not the shit I want on my books, right?
It's like not up to me. It's like,
go somewhere else. Yeah. That is not the broking style that we do, right? Thanks, but no thanks.
It's like no bullshit kind of
That's right.
stuff.
That's right.
Very fitting for our podcast then.
Yes, BS.
That's it. And talk to me a little bit about credit files. Like, what's a misconception that people like have about defaults or things like cash converters? You actually taught me about cash converters, which I love knowing this information.
Yes. So there is different level of tolerances of where you get your money, right? Yep. So if you're going to Westpac, CBA, you know, those sort of lenders, generally speaking, it makes sense to go, you're going to get a personal loan, you're going to get a home loan, get your pre-approvals. No, you know, that's fine. However, if you're going into cash converters trying to get money from cash converters as a lending, that will drop your credit score down. You are flagging that you are having cash flow issues. Yeah. And as far as zip pay, afterpay as well, depends on how often you use it. It's not going to really make or break, but just be mindful. Where do you get your money? Because some of those lenders will start dropping your credit score. Yeah?
Yeah, makes sense.
So if you're going into those quick cash sharky style of lenders.
Yep, cashies.
Yeah. You've just got to be careful that, hey, it doesn't drop your credit score to a degree that you absolutely smash your credit file and then it locks you out from the top tier lenders.
Oh, God.
Yeah. For argument's sake, some banks are pre-programmed to go, well, if your credit score is below 600, don't come here because the system's going to go, hey, thanks, but no thanks. This profile is not for us.
Yeah.
So then you have to go to a lender that doesn't credit score, but then they might have a higher rate.
Yeah.
So it's not a no. It's just you've got to pivot your loan application on where is the bank going to get a yes. Yeah. So just got to be really careful on that.
It makes sense. And like on this topic, you actually told me that you helped someone turn around their credit report after being locked out of the market. How does that process generally work?
So what we do is I'll have a look at your pre-information that comes through. We'll do a credit check. I use Equifax. There's Ilion as well, but I'm not going to do every single profile because obviously that stuff's not for free.
Yeah.
I tell you, these are the different platforms you can check if you really want to. Send it through to me and I'll read it. Yeah. Because sometimes what will be on Ilion might not be on Equifax and vice versa.
Right.
I do get people calling saying, oh, I've had a look at the credit file online. That's not what the banks use. I want to be on the same page of what the bank is using.
Yeah.
ANZ, for argument's sake, uses both the checks. So they're quite thorough on their checks. Yes. Whereas if you're going into, for argument's sake, you might go into CBA, they might only do one of them. Yeah. If you got something on Ilion, they can't see it because they do an Equifax or vice versa. Right. So that is the sort of level of detail that we go into. And if I see, hey, both your credit files are smashed, go and seek speak to a credit repairing agency, see if they can fix it. And if they can't, well, we'll just pivot your loan application to go where you have to be. Hopefully that stuff drops off your credit file, and then later down the track we'll refinance you. But it's a solution for that particular time, especially for where you're at.
Makes
in your
sense.
time frames, I suppose. Yeah?
Yeah, it does. And like, it's good that you actually can at least give some tips or some direction of what to do or where to go, rather than just like, bang, too bad, have a good day.
Yeah. We take everything on, right? So it's that's why people say get a tailored solution from a mortgage broker. And sometimes I might not have a lender on my panel that another broker has. And you're like, hey, hang on a minute. Why do you get a no? But the other one says yes. And it's because all of the accreditations across the board are very different. Right. So that's one of the reasons why I left the franchises, because the lender options of where I am now is a lot broader.
Yeah.
And then I've got more policies to work with and hopefully get a yes out of the deals. And you go, well, this is a solution for you, because based on what I've got here, this is where I can place you.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, this was actually a really good topic to break down, because like I said, we get a lot of inquiries about the debt side of things and like that recovery, because it's so taboo and people are sheepish. But I'm glad we kind of talked about it. And I want to shift gears for a second to go now into like the strategy and structure. So it's like, let's, you know, you're on that path. I hope that's helped those guys that emailed us, and, you know, thank you for your questions, because this is really important to talk about. So now once you have your steps and you've cleaned up that kind of bad credit, let's step into setting up for success, right? So you're known for being a bit OCD with structure, right? What does that mean when someone comes to you for help?
So loan documentation, everything's all up front. I want to know what I'm dealing with, right? So I don't want to give you the advice or do the BS, go, yeah, I can get the deal done, and then you give me the paperwork, and then, hang on, you've missed a few shifts, you don't have overtime, oh, you thought that you were on permanent part-time, mate, you're on casual. You've been at your job for 4 months, I can't get you a loan because most of the banks want 6 months. So that's why I say having a look at all of the information is so important, because one thing that you think, oh, this will be okay, it might actually break the deal, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's all in the details. So much of box tickings is what you need to be at. And that's why I say to people, give me your paperwork up front. And I promise you that if the more info I have, the better the outcome will be for you.
And it can be more realistic for them. You can tailor it and structure it a certain way. And it goes into my next question, like how do you approach someone who has no idea what they can afford or where to start? Like that real.
So it's, hey, if you're a first home buyer, I've actually got approval today for one of my customers, and they've been sitting there searching for a property. I think it was about 3 or 4 years. So they were on Google, not searching, I suppose they were searching more of Google. And then they're like, you know what? I've seen one of your posts. I'm going to get my big pants on and grown up and I'll adult really hard here. So it was a couple.
Yeah.
And they didn't realise that you didn't need a 20% deposit to actually get into the property market, because guess what? Mum and dad and the grandparents had said, oh, back in our day, you needed a 20% deposit. And I said, mate, that's just cost you a whole heap of money. Because let's go into the first home guarantee scheme that is done by Housing Australia. That'll waive your lender mortgage insurance so long as you can get into the property market with your borrowing capacity. Purchase 650, they had a deposit of 52 grand, and they're like, what? I don't need the 20% plus the costs. And I said, mate, no, you can get into the property market a whole lot faster, because this scheme also waives lender mortgage insurance. 5% plus your costs on the table, you're good to go. Have you got stamp duty waivers here in Victoria, up to $600,000, you're going to get your stamp duty. If you go over a little bit, then it's on a pro rata basis. They had been doing salary sacrificing into their super. And guess what? You can actually pull that out if you're ahead on your super to purchase a property. And they're like, that is a thing. Nobody has ever told me that. And I didn't even know I had to Google for that. And I said, mate, pick up the phone and give me a call. It's like, and this goes back to what I've said before. You don't know what you don't know.
We're going to keep ramming that home, aren't we?
That's it. And, they were like, we thought that we did not have a chance to get into the property market.
Yeah.
And had we known then what we know now, we probably could have purchased ages ago.
Yeah, it's like you've actually given people hope for what's next. And I think that's the best thing that you could do for anyone is this education. Like, I'm not going to say it again. Call.
Doesn't have to be me. Just call a broker or call somebody and have
Laura.
a chat. Yeah, call me preferably. But, you know, we've got to be nice. I mean, there's amazing brokers out there. They're fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
I just go, hey, give them a call. We're not that scary.
And they're always going to help you out.
That's it.
I guess, you know, we've talked a lot about, you know, how to get into the market, like get in, don't get priced out early.
Yes.
And, you know, act. I think we've heard such great examples of the clients you've dealt with that have not acted and they've been priced out.
Yes.
So thank God, like, I hope that message is clear to our listeners. How do you map out like long-term strategy for upsizes or growing families? Because that's a little bit different, like to first home, like 2 people, 2 income.
So when you've got the upsizes, sometimes people might want to say, look, I've got no interest in having to deal with the landlord side of things. I don't want to have a tenant in there where they're missing the rent. So if my rent doesn't come through, my finances are impacted. I've still got a home loan facility. I want to sell so then I get the equity or to get the deposit for the next property, right? So let's call it, you've got $250,000 worth of sale proceeds. You go, well, I want to purchase a house that is a little bit bigger. You get your money from the first house, put it to your second. Your first house, I'm going to break it to you, is not going to be your first and last house, right? So it's just your foot into the door. Hopefully the property prices go up. And then if you want to upsize, you move on to the next one.
Yeah, and you're not, like, it's so true. I think it's a shift in mentality.
Yes.
You know, in the past, like maybe, our parents, grandparents have bought that dream home at your age. These
now
days,
it's very different strategies.
Yeah, and you have to be open to it.
Yes.
It's like if you want to get into the market, foot in the door market.
Yes.
This is where rent vesting gets into it. It's like if you want to live here, but you've got to rent there, it's like, all right, make it work. But
that's it. That's it.
And, you know, you've grown such, like, I guess it amazed me when you told me this, right? That your business doesn't run off ads. It doesn't run off like, you know, Google ads, SEO and all those things. It's actually by word of mouth.
Yes.
What do you think makes people come back, like, or refer to you years later?
I think it's, hopefully it comes through from personality. I try and make it relatable. Be open-minded, and it's there for a service as far as, hey, you've come to me with, you want to know what your borrowing capacity, or hey, how do you do a deal, or what's my options, right? So I try and have it so I don't write people off, because in the past I have had people come through and they said, oh, you know, I'm on X amount of dollars and this is my deposit. I've been told no from somebody else. I've just been treated like, you know, dirt. And I go, that's not very nice, right? So I try and treat people as if I, you know, if I was in their shoes, and hopefully I go, well, respect goes a long way. And that's what you go through, right? So I've come across situations where people come out and they're like, hey, Mum and Dad Bank will tie me over the line. Save the day. That's right. And then with their borrowing capacity and the deposit, they actually can achieve what they want to do, right? But it's just asking those extra questions, taking a little bit of extra time. And I on purpose make my appointments with customers for 90 minutes. I will not do an hour because I just feel it's way too rushed. And if people have got questions, I'm like, oh, sorry, I've got to go to the next appointment, and you cut them off, and it's not a nice feel, right? So it's, hopefully I give you that extra time and you don't feel rushed. And you can ask me as many questions as you like within that time frame. If it goes a little bit over, that's fine, right? But it's just, you're not feeling rushed, heard, supported, as well as is the main aim of the game, right?
100%. I think that, and I can already tell by this conversation, there's a big reason why people come back. I think you give a nice balance of like the real talk, but you're also kind about it. I think there's one thing where you got the people that are just direct and rude, and then you deliver it in such a way that is like, so like, don't stress. I'm here to help.
Pivot.
It's like, tell me, let's just make it happen, we'll figure it out. And I like that attitude, because I think first home buyers need that kind of firm but kind support. You know, the push in the right direction is what I like to call it. Correct. And, you know, Laura, I really enjoyed this conversation.
That's good,
today.
me too.
I think this is great. I think our listeners will really resonate with this episode. I want to finish this episode by asking one last question.
Fire away.
And that's, what's been your biggest learning in building your own brand after working under someone else's?
My biggest learning is having to do the marketing. That was like big because I obviously had to walk away with no clients, no database, nothing. So then I had to put it so that I basically had to be found somehow. So I just put it so it's Laura Moya, local mortgage broker, because everybody knows Laura Moya as a broker, right? So I guess it was scary to walk away and thinking, oh my God, what the hell do I do next? How do I do this? Fast forward 2 years, I'm gunning down 100 Google reviews. I think I'm about 2 or 3 off in that space of the 2 years. And it was clients that I had left behind that have searched on social media because they're like, oh, we've contacted, you know, previous, why aren't you calling me for my loan reviews? What's going on here? Where is my loan reviews for settled stuff? Because it was just that habit of, you're on my books, but hey, I'm still looking after you after the fact. Or when we did the setup, it might have been, hey, here's your budget. Please make sure that you stick to it, save, come back when you reach X amount. So it's the knowledge and I guess the empowerment, hopefully, that people walk away with and think, okay, well, she's got my back. Yeah. Come back, right? Of course. So that's, I guess, how I've built my business. As I said, I don't do paid referrals from real estate agencies. I don't have a referral from an accountant nor a financial planner or anything like that. 100% word of mouth. I on social media as well. People do Google. Yeah, people do Google. No, I was looking at your reviews the other day. And I was just so impressed by the volume and like the kindness. Like that people are so thankful. Like so, you know, like well done and kudos to you because you got to give that credit. And I hope you hear that feedback. Thank you. Enough. Yes, thank you. Of course. Well, Laura, your story is the perfect blend of hustle, heart, and hard truth. Yes. You know, you find a balance. And you try and drop the truth bombs, but, you know, in a nice way. Of course. And we all need that, of course. So, look, for everyone listening, whether you're a first home buyer, parent, you know, single parent, or someone with a bit of a messy credit history, this episode proves that you can come back stronger with the right help and a clear path. Yes. And you know, of course I'm going to say contact Laura. We're going to have her details at the bottom of this episode description. Yes. I hope you've listened to this episode and gone, right, shit, should have called Laura ages ago. Yes. And hopefully you get the courage to call because it can be taboo, right? Finance is not the sexiest of topics and it's not something that you go out. And sometimes I do have a bit of a giggle with people and I say, mate, I haven't gone out for a drink and I know your finance is better than what you do for your partner. So, you know. Let's go. I love it. Well, Laura, thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Of course. And thanks everyone for tuning into the No BS Real Estate Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, drop us a review and share this with someone who needs to hear it and call Laura Moya. Damn straight. Until next time. Thanks everyone. Bye. Bye. That's a wrap for this episode of the No BS Real Estate Podcast powered by Abodey AI. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review and share this episode with someone who might need it. If you're looking for more guidance on your home buying journey, you can visit www.abodey.com.au for expert advice, property insights and the tools you need to find the right home with confidence. If you're already on your journey, you can also download our app. Just search Abodey AI on the App Store or Google Play. Have any questions or want to connect, you can follow us on Instagram at abodey.com.au or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in and we'll catch you in the next episode.